Hi, I'm Candi from Writing for Wellness Rosendale, and I've been asked by the Whitakers to talk to you a little bit about journaling for health today. The reason why it's a really brilliant thing that you can do for yourself at the minute is because all it requires is paper, pad and pen, and 10 minutes of your time or more if you feel like doing that, but it's free. You can do it at home in lockdown, as we still are, and whenever you like, whenever you're feeling stressed. And I like to see journaling basically as a way of emptying that stress through words out of your mind. And journaling for health, it goes a little bit deeper than that. And we will be having a go today at some of the some easy techniques, because once you've written what you've written, sometimes if you use positive prompts or if you go back over and look a bit deeper into things, you can really pull out what's going on for you and hopefully reconnect to yourself. Because with everything that's going on at the minute, you can get easily lost and overwhelmed. I know I've been suffering with overwhelm on and off for months through this, and every time I feel that sort of cloud coming over me, I try and remember to write. Writing's not for everybody. Some people prefer to talk, and that's absolutely brilliant as well. I think the two can really complement each other, so quite often I'll do some writing, I'll do some journaling, I'll just write, and then if something comes up for me, it might be good to have a chat to a friend on the phone, or video call actually works a lot better for me at the minute because it feels more connected, as we can't really see anybody in real life that easily. So just a little bit about journaling then. No matter what your experience of writing is so far, you can journal. And that's because it isn't about writing well. You don't need to write well. A lot of people have been put off writing at school by having to overwrite, being analysed, criticised for their writing. And it is not about that. It's about just picking up your pen, and it's a private thing, journaling. Unless you want to share it with somebody, there's absolutely no need to, is there? Like, you can even finish what you're writing, lift it up and throw it in the bin if you don't want anybody to see it. And I think that means that it's not judged and it's yours, it just belongs to you. And I think that can be a really powerful thing with journaling. Sometimes we can write things down that we wouldn't say to anybody. We don't feel comfortable even saying to like our best friend, our partner, parents, whoever. You can write it down and no one's judging you for that, and then you can rip it up and get rid of it if you need to. So that's one point. The privacy of a journal allows you that freedom of expression of everything that you're thinking. So to give you an example, recently I spoke to an ICU nurse who was not able to speak to her partner about how horrified she felt with some things, but was able to write it down, and writing it down was a bit of a relief for her. But what you have to consider there is that whilst it can be a relief, it can be good to put a time limit on your writing, and also to always be really aware of how it's making you feel, because sometimes what you don't want to do is relive bad things and kind of upset yourself or anything like that. So it wouldn't do to just spend hours and hours just trawling through all these horrible things if it was making you upset. It's more about a quick kind of release of things that are stressing you out, basically. And that is really important. You have to keep yourself safe. You have to use journaling positively. And it's simple. If you're feeling upset when you're writing and you find yourself going down a route you didn't expect, because that can often happen. We call it free writing. So unless you've got a specific prompt, or even if you have, you're going to go off into your own thoughts on paper, and that can take you anywhere. And sometimes you can end up somewhere that you don't want to be. In that case, you just stop writing and put the pen down, and that's the thing. You have to be mindful and make sure. And also, if anything came out that really upset you and you felt like you needed some extra help, you need to be doing that for yourself. You need to be looking up self-help lines. You need to be finding whatever it is, support, emotional support that you need at that point, because this is a really challenging time, and a lot of people need a lot of different things to keep them well through this. and writing is just one tool that you could have in that box at the minute. There's no need to journal every day, there's no need to write every day at all. Some people will only do this after a particularly stressful day or event. Others will try and do it every day and make it a routine, because it becomes a self-care routine, depending on how you're doing it. So if you're doing positive journaling, for instance, and exercise such as thinking of things that you're grateful for every day. So one good thing to do is write in the list 3 things I'm grateful for today. At the end of every day, it can give you a little bit of perspective, especially if you're overwhelmed with all the bad things or the things that you're missing or the things that aren't going so well. If you set yourself a little positive journaling goal for each day, then that's going to help you. Okay, so it's helpful as well to see it as a self-care practice. And if you can give yourself a comfy space in your own setting, a time of day that's quieter, even if it's just sat in a corner with your favourite hot drink, blanket, whatever it is, pets, anything that makes you feel calm, if you can create that little bubble or space for you, or say it's the end of the day when you're in bed and you're doing it, that can be really good too, because it's easier to write, I think, when we're cosy and we're comfy. And also, you want to try and avoid distractions. That's impossible at the minute, I know, a lot of times of day, because everyone's home, homeschooling, we're home working, we're doing everything in one space. So in the evening, I would suggest try and find that, create that space, that bubble for yourself, that little area of calm to do your writing in that you might not get distracted in. And that will really help you to kind of flow a bit more, and for you to maximise your time as well, even if it's only a short amount of time that you've got. Other people will have a lot of time on their hands at the minute. People are furloughed, people are at home, so for you, write and write and write if you want to, if you've got things to say, or do it every day, do it twice a day, any time that something comes up for you, then pick up the pen and write. So that's just a little bit of an introduction to journaling itself. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to give you some ideas of how to get started, basically. So if you've never written a journal before, it's not just about a list of what happened that day, it's about connecting and reconnecting with yourself. And in our sort of busy world, and especially right now in our houses, we can get lost in it all. But journaling can help you reconnect with yourself, take a look, reassess where you're at, how much you're meeting your own needs, what's missing, how you could recalibrate almost and change things a little bit, set a few intentions for yourself to make things better and for you to feel better. So I think that's probably everything on journaling. It's endless in terms of the activities that you can do, in terms of the way that you can use it for your own wellness. So for today I've just chosen a few activities, a few little things to get you started, but in reality there's so much more that you can do with it. And if you do get something out of this, then I've been doing free writing for wellbeing sessions for key workers, and there's groups that I'm setting up and things like this. There's loads of information on the internet. There's actually loads of free journaling workshops. It doesn't take long to find one if you go online. They're all every day if you look. And also, lastly, actually, in terms of what you are writing on, I wouldn't recommend this beautiful £10 journal that's my journal and it's so special. For the purposes of therapeutic journaling, I would really recommend your £1 sort of pads from the corner shop, or just anything that's scrap paper, or just the reason being is because it's better if it's not about writing neatly either, it's about being able to express your mind. Sometimes that might come out in drawings, it might be doodling, a lot of doodling in between writing words, and you don't want it to be restrictive. So to give you an example, I've probably got about 10 notepads. And I've got one that I picked up when on a holiday, and it's a beautiful Romeo and Juliet. Just seeing if I could see it to show you. It's gorgeous. It's like gilded and everything. And I never write in it because I don't want to spoil it. It's been sat there for about a year. I've probably written in it about twice. What's the point? You just want a plain old pad that you can get everything out into, and you're not going to feel like spoiling it, and you can just throw it away at the end if you want to. Some people like to hold on to their journals, especially this year. I mean, we're living through a real historical event at the minute. And I personally am going to keep hold of my journals from this period because I think it's going to be fascinating to look back and see what was going on for us now, and maybe to show, like to pass down through history and time. It's important to remember this. We are living through real history, and history needs documenting, as a social history, the way that people experience it. And so if we journal through this at the minute, we've got our own personal history of it, or what we choose to keep of it, to take forward with us. And believe it or not, it won't all be negative. You will have good days, you will have things in there that you want to write about that are good, as well as, for instance, creative journaling can lead you into planning for the future, ideas, development of self. So I could look back over this past year and I might see, oh, yeah, I had an idea to do that at that point. Oh, I've done it now, that's brilliant. Or I didn't do that, but it's all right. You can really use your journal to create yourself and to sort of express yourself and to plan yourself and your goals and intentions and things like that. Something I do is set intentions in there and then look back. I use it to remind myself. I go back and go, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be doing that, aren't I? To look after myself. Right, okay, yeah. And it sort of refocuses me again, puts me back on track a little bit, which is helpful. Alright, so our first activity then is heavy words. Okay, so all day, every day, we are surrounded at the minute by negative language that we're not used to. Lockdown, pandemic, all of these things. Just hearing a word like that after time that's passed as hours can actually induce anxiety without you realising it. All right. So one good thing that you can do in your journal is you can let go of your heavy words from that day. So it might be things that you've heard that are triggering you, or it might be things that have happened that day, experiences, and you just want to let go of it. Okay, so what I want you, so for instance, when I did this activity the other day, it was stress, it was pressure, because we'd just gone into this third lockdown that we're on now, and like everybody else, I've got about 5 different things to manage every day, and it's hard. So it was pressure, and for me, and that was my main word that I wanted to let go of that day. And I just wrote it down, the word pressure, and then spent a few minutes, only a few minutes, writing around that word. What did I need to release? What was it? What was the problem with that for me? Okay, so what I'm gonna do throughout this, I'm gonna disappear and a prompt will come up for you that I've just explained, or a question, and then you can spend a bit of time on that. Because this is pre-recorded, I'll be giving 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes for each activity or for each writing exercise. But if you really feel like you need to carry on and you haven't finished, then you can stop the recording and carry on when you want to. Okay? Alright, so your first activity, heavy words. Hi. I hope you all managed to come up with something that you wanted to let go of, a heavy word that you could put down on paper. And just to know that you can do this anytime that you like, and you can go off on one with it and you can carry on writing it out, see what it leads to. But what's important with writing is that we have some balance. So it's no good to just write about the bad things all the time. It's all about light and dark, finding the joy, finding the hope. And so that's what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to be looking at finding our own moments of joy, focusing on that, and through writing, just focusing and reconnecting with what those things are and what we can still access even though we're stuck at home, basically, and what can help to get us through this period that we're all going through at the minute. So one of those things is reading for me. I think reading this past year has become, like, book sales have gone through the roof, creativity's gone through the roof and things, and I think a lot of that is time, but also it's escapism. So there's a lot of stuff going on that isn't nice, and it isn't nice to hear about, and you can escape from that through reading. Doesn't have to be fiction, can be learning something new, anything at all. If you can engross yourself in a book, it gives you a little bit of space and a little bit of time away. So a book that I've read recently is Wintering, The Power of Rest and Retreat in Difficult Times, which is by Catherine May. And she wrote this book after a period of time where it's quite metaphorical, really, for what we're going through at the minute, because she wrote it after a winter where she had to be stuck inside caring for her partner, and there were things that were really heavy for her in that winter. And she started thinking about how people live in the Arctic, how they get through those dark months where there's no sunlight, where they can't go out, it's so cold. And it kind of just feels a bit like that's what we're going through at the minute. So I'm just going to read an extract from this, and we're going to have a think about this, and then we're going to think about how and what is getting us through winter and lockdown. If I didn't see my winter coming, then at least I have caught it in the early stages. I'm just a little lost, that's all, just a little clouded over, like my windows. I'm determined to go into it consciously, to make it a kind of practice in understanding myself better. I'm almost wondering whether there could be a pleasure in it, somehow, somewhere, if only I'm well enough prepared. I can feel the downturn coming. I know the baking and soup making can't sustain me forever. It will get worse than this, darker, leaner, lonelier. I want to lay down a bed of straw beneath me to cushion the blow when it comes. I want to make everything ready. Okay, so she is almost aware, isn't she, that winter gets harder as we go along and through it, and that's without all the extra thing that's going on at the minute. So when she's talking about this bed of straw beneath her to cushion the blow, that comes down to the very small things, the small moments of joy, the things that we need that are different for everybody, that keep us going, that keep us happy, that get us through. Okay, so that's what we're going to be thinking about now. So another way to journal is to self-question. Rather than just write, you can focus that writing by asking yourself a question. It can be anything, ranging from where am I right now, and that can be literally, metaphorically, or you can use words as prompts. So quite often on my page I put up a prompt. It'll just be, the recent one was warmth, so what's keeping you warm right now in your life. Self-questioning really can help your flow as well with writing. So we're going to spend a bit of time now. I've got some questions for you. I'll put a question up, and then you'll spend a couple of minutes writing on that question. We've got 3 to do, and this is just to show you how self-questioning can work in writing. And again, if you wanted to do more of this, you just need to look up journaling online. There are loads of Instagram, Facebook pages you can follow that will put up writing prompts. You could follow the hashtag writing prompts on Instagram or something like this, and there'll be loads and loads that come up. And also there are loads of journals that you can buy if you're interested in this. 5 minutes in the evening is one that I really like, because it's very short exercises to do at the end of the day that you can access even if you've not got very much time, and that will have lots of different ways to journal in it. So you can buy as well some sort of more structured, if you will, helpful hints journal books. You don't need that though. Okay, so your first question is going to be, what does wellness mean to me? Okay, so I'll put that question up for you and we'll just spend a couple of minutes, just write the question out. What does wellness mean to me? Don't think too hard about the answer, just let it flow. Just write whatever comes out to you, for you. Okay, all right. Okay, I hope you've all managed to come up with some ideas of what wellness means to you. It means something different to everyone, so there are no right answers with journaling. It's totally personal. Okay, so your second question then. Thinking about winter, we are deep into winter now, and this is the sort of part of winter where some people do struggle the most. Even though spring is around the corner, and it really is, you know, the snowdrops are out there and we can go out and we can see that. It doesn't make it any easier if it's felt like a long winter or it's starting to. So your second question is, what is helping me through winter? Okay? Okay, so for question 3, we're really going to focus in on the particular things that are helping to get us through this period of time. And in order to do that, we need to look closely and we need to think about really small moments of joy that we can find in a day. So, for instance, for me, that might be a warm cup of tea. I drink a lot of tea right now because it's freezing. But also, like looking out the window and seeing a bird. I love nature. It doesn't cost anything, does it, to sit there and or to stand at the back and see things, look at the sky, the moon. Um, and that is different for everybody, but everybody has got little things that make them happy. And at the minute, it's really important to connect to those things and to remember that they're there as well and that you can still do them because there are so many things that we can't do at the minute. So one way to do this is to think about your 5 senses. So what we're going to try and do for question 3 is think of something from your everyday life and experience at the minute that you smell, hear, taste, touch, feel that gives you comfort. So for instance, for feel, for me it would be the Christmas blanket that I'm refusing to get to let go of because it's just too warm and comforting at the minute. Taste would be gingerbread, which we bake sometimes when I'm feeling rubbish. We bake because it smells beautiful and tastes amazing. What else did we have to touch? Smell would be gingerbread as well, or maybe I absolutely love the smell of all the smoke outside at the minute sometimes when it's evening and people have got their log fires going because we don't have one. But in winter especially, there are all these sights and sounds and things. Sight for me would probably be, again, all the robins, the birds that come and feed. We don't have a garden, we just have a little yard and there is a tree behind it, but we do get robins. So it's these really small things that we're going to think about for question 3. And before we do that, I'm just going to read a little bit of prose poetry from Mary Oliver. And if you don't know Mary Oliver, she does write a lot of nature poetry, but she's very well regarded, and I love all nature poetry, but I particularly like Mary Oliver. It can be really helpful. I do a lot of poetry in my sessions because I study in poetry therapy, and it can really connect people, and it can connect you to sort of what's deeper felt inside of you and take away a lot of the kind of like stress of the day. So Mary Oliver writes, "Don't hesitate. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give in to it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. We're not wise and we're not very often kind, and much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibility left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back. That sometimes something happens better than all the riches or power in the world, and it could be anything. But very likely you notice it in the instant when it begins. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb." Now, it's really difficult at the minute with all the chaos that's going on at home, and everyone's got children around all the time and things like this. But I've had a couple of people say to me when I've done similar things like this in workshops that just stopping and actually stopping trying to do absolutely everything and being in that moment, whether it's playing with children or whether it's actually just sitting down and having that warm cup of tea before it goes cold, whatever it is, giving yourself half an hour at the end of the day to read a book or watch some comedy or whatever, you've got to give yourself that time. And quite often we're so busy we don't stop for the moments of joy. I know I don't. I have to consciously remember to do it. And I did do this exercise, and it was really interesting. I hadn't realised how much effort it takes to stop and actually be present in a moment of joy, but we have to do it, otherwise there's no balance. Okay, so for question 3, I want you to think about your own personal moments of joy using thinking about the 5 senses, and come up with 5 things, one for each if you can. Doesn't matter if you can't, have a go. Just see what happens. Okay. Okay, I hope you've all managed to come up with some things, some of your own small moments of joy. Normally at this point, and a lot of points before this, if this was a workshop, we'd be feeding back to each other and we'd tell each other what we'd got, and quite often there's a lot of overlap and there's suggestions that come out from it because someone might say something and be like, oh yeah, that is something that makes me happy actually, but I didn't think of it myself. So you can get a lot more really from this type of exercise if you're in a workshop. But as it is, it works in the sense that you can stop and start this and give yourself longer to do the exercises if you want to do. Okay, so for anybody that did come to my workshops or follows the pages or anything, you may have seen me post an example of a poem that we wrote, which was called Take Notice, which I then turned into sort of like a visual notice and then a list of all of these kind of small moments of joy. So I would just read you the example. Take notice. Stop, take notice as leaves swoop to the ground. Notice the crunch on a cold day. Notice how comedy makes you feel lighter. Notice the joy of a smell of fresh bread. Notice the new snowdrop shoots breaking through ice. Stop, breathe, take notice. Okay, so what we're going to have that's my own one. That's just one that I did with some things that I like in it. And what we're going to do then is have a go at you writing your own. So what I'll do is I'll put a copy of that up for you to look at and just spend some time. There's no rules. I know I'm telling you what to do and I'm guiding this, but for instance, in this exercise, I did tell you to focus on one thing you feel, and I'd said my blanket. But actually, that could have been an emotional feel, couldn't it? It could have been this makes me happy, and the same with this. You know, it doesn't need to be followed exactly. It's your own version that you're making, and you're making yourself a little bit of a reminder sheet, if you will, a reminder poem of all your small moments of joy. Okay, so what you're doing is just replacing or putting it in whatever order you want in each line, which will start with the first line, stop and take notice of, and then one of your things. The lines after that, notice, 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 in this order, and then you've got these words at the end. But feel free to amend it, improve it, do whatever you want with it. Okay? Just have a go. Okay, so I hope you've all I've been able to have a go at that and got something that you're half happy with, or we call these seedling poems that we do together, and obviously um, you could go off and make that into whatever you liked, or you could just leave it as it was as a little reminder to yourself. In your pad, journal, whatever it is that you're using today, you can flip back and have a look at that. And this is a good thing, we're putting positive things in there, as I said before. So another thing, we're thinking about hope, and we're thinking about the dark and light. So another thing that we need to think about are letting go, or keeping a lid on and keeping track of negative actions, behaviours, thought patterns, and things like this. A big one at the minute for me personally, and I know a lot of people I know, is news overload and doom scrolling, as they call it. It's like you need to know what's going on, but at the same time, you really don't need to know what's going on as well. So you have to try and keep a bit of a lid on that. And I have this book. It's the Poetry Pharmacy. There's a couple of these, and they're really nice books. It's like almost prescriptions in poetry, which is a lovely idea, isn't it? And there is a section in here on news overload, which I found, which is amazing. And it really does go on about how bad it is for you, and you really have to like move away from all of that sensationalisation and all of the negative things that you see and hear. You've got to give yourself a break. And it's about remembering that for everything that you see that's bad, there is good as well. And there are some really lovely local groups at the minute that you can be part of on Facebook and see, like Rosendale Connected, and I think Haslingden and Helpshire Mutual Aid, that's another one that I'm part of. And it's brilliant because you get to see all the nice things that everybody's doing for the community, and you get to see good news stories as well, and you get to feel that sense of like connectedness and positivity as well as all the bleak. Okay, so there's a poem in here, it's called Sometimes by Sheena Pugh, who is another poet that I like. And it's just a message of hope, really. It's a more positive take and a reminder to not just focus on the negative. Sometimes things don't go, after all, from bad to worse. Some years, muscadel faces down frost, green thrives, the crops don't fail. Sometimes a man aims high and all goes well. A people sometimes will step back from war, elect an honest man, decide they care enough that they can't leave some stranger poor. Some men become what they were born for. Sometimes our best efforts do not go amiss. Sometimes we do as we meant to. The sun will sometimes melt a field of sorrow that seemed hard frozen. May it happen for you. So I just think that's so lovely, and it really did make me think of all the wonderful things that are going on locally to us this event today, and all of the line about can't leave some stranger poor, all of the food bank and the food boxes and the donations and everything that I'm seeing. Like, it's fantastic how people have come together around here. Awful that it's having to happen, but brilliant. It's the light. It's the light in the dark. Okay, so lastly today then, we're just really going to think about what is your light? What is your light in your dark at the minute? So we've thought about our small moments of joy. Another thing is that something we're missing at the minute is the connectedness that we normally have, the social connectedness. And when I thought about what I was missing and what I could do to help myself a little bit more at the minute, it really was connecting with people. And I made a bit of a sort of intention with myself to video call my friends regularly, not just wait till I feel terrible then do it before that happens. And so this is the preventative thing that we're talking about being really trying to keep in check what's going on for you internally. So in your journal now you've got, or your notepad, you've got some positive things, and we're just going to do a bit of creative journaling now, which I love. So we've been talking about wintering, getting through winter. Hibernation is a massive thing for so many other creatures at the minute, isn't it? And basically I've told my daughter we're in hibernation, not lockdown. She loves that. And there can be good things about it, definitely. The period of self-reflection. However, this period of self-reflection means that we do have to be mindful that we don't go down the wrong paths, listen to the wrong negative inner voices and things like this. So what I want you to do is got another poem, the last one. And it's about winter and trees. And so we're just going to listen to this, and then we're going to have a go at doing our own tree of hope in our journal. Okay, so it's Winter by Robert Fisher. Old branches ache, the tree stands naked in the storms. Frozen, bleak and bare, deep underground, life lies sleeping. The tree sleeps and waits for the returning sun to wake him from his woody dreams. Now I thought that was a lovely sentiment, and it's a lovely little poem, but we can't just go to sleep and we can't hibernate and wait for this to all blow over. We have to live through it, and we have to survive it, and we have to get through it. So, as the branches on the trees are bare at the minute, I thought it might be a nice idea. If you don't need to be able to draw, this is another thing coming back to what I said about your journal is private space for doodling and things like this. It's not about writing or drawing well or anything. But I just had a go at drawing a tree like this. You can see it's just scrap paper. And what I've done quite a lot on there, but you don't need to do that. Have a go at drawing a tree in a minute. I'll give you some time to do it. And along the branches, what I've done is I've firstly put all the people that I wanted to keep connected to on those along different branches as reminders. You know, the people that cheer us up, people that help us along when we talk to them, the people that make us smile when we connect with them for all different reasons, the people that inspire us as well. So then I did, and so that's the next step. So if you do the people that you know and that you can connect with, and then after that, the people that inspire you. So that might be writers, comedians, artists, musicians, people on the TV, bloggers, anyone. Anyone that you feel inspired by. Okay, so it can be past, present, anybody at all. So to give you an idea, I've got Spike Milligan because I love words. I've got a few poets on there. I've got David Attenborough because I find watching the David Attenborough show so soothing at the minute. I could really recommend that if you're stressed. Just stick some David Attenborough on. And I've got writers. I've got Jarvis Cocker from Pulp. Because that makes me think of putting music on that makes me happy, which is something that I've been trying to do more of. So yeah, everyone's creative tree, everyone's inspiring people tree is completely different. So again, I'm just going to give you a little bit of time now, and this is the last exercise, just to give you a flavour of sort of more creative journaling. Okay, have a go. Okay, so I'm a bit sad that I can't see the trees that have been done, if anybody's done them. And but coming back to the things that we talked about just taking things a bit further. If you do an exercise like this in your journal, you could then pick, maybe highlight or circle the thing when you look at it again that's the most prominent to you, that you feel like is the most creative influence, or the thing that you could tap into or start doing again that you've stopped doing, or something like this. And then write a couple of intentions, set a couple of intentions. So you could do that now. Try and set an intention. Have a look round your tree. So for me, when I did this, I did decide that I needed to watch more comedy because a lot of comedians came up, and I just get so much, I can really de-stress if I watch comedy. So for me, it was just watch comedy. Don't scroll the internet, watch comedy, laugh, feel better. You'll have, whatever it is that you've got on your branches, have a look at them. What could you be doing for yourself right now? Simple things, a small change that might really help to get you through the winter. And yeah, that's pretty much it from me. So I would love if you want to send me your take notice poems. You could message me on Facebook, writing for Wellness Rosendale, or email me. All the links and everything on there. I'd love to see them, or just for any feedback. And like I said, there's just so much online if you are more interested in journaling. And the prompt journal books that you can get are really good. So I already mentioned 5 minutes in the evening. There's a 5 minutes in the daytime as well. They are really nice books if you want to buy something like that. I have this one, which is Muse with the Moon, and on each page there's just little prompts. It looks nice. It's easy to complete in sort of 5 or 10 minutes, but just as well, do some free writing in your notepad, see what comes out for you. Ask yourself a few questions, check in with yourself. That's what it's about. It's about checking in with yourself, reconnecting, giving yourself that time back, drawing a line under things, and then being able to move on and plan for the future. So yeah, hope some of that has helped. And if you are interested in doing workshops or anything, I am now home working, homeschooling and home studying, so I don't know how much more I'm going to be able to do in the next few weeks, but certainly once things are settled down a little bit, I'll be able to do some more. Okay, bye.